Hey everybody, so today I have a bit of a different video for you guys. I don't do a lot of like standalone reviews, but this product has just been impressing me so much, and I asked on Snapchat if you all wanted to see a standalone review of this product, and so that is what I am doing. I am doing a review of a foundation that in my opinion is one of the most underrated foundations ever. So like usually when a brand comes out with foundation, you know, they send it out in PR early, and so all the big beauty gurus like freak out about it and like do tutorials with it and like announce the launch and like all this sort of stuff. I haven't seen anybody talking about this foundation, and it is freaking amazing. So I am talking about the Bare Minerals BarePro foundation. Now I will say that Bare Minerals in general is just kind of like one of the brands that just kind of gets swept under the rug. Like there's a couple YouTubers that like have their holy grail items from Bare Minerals that they talk about a lot, but like overall like Bare Minerals isn't one of those brands that's like super hyped up like Urban Decay, like Too Faced, you know, like those other type of brands. What is happening? I don't know what's going on. My hair is just curling in all sorts of different ways. It just doesn't get as much hype as some of the other big brands do, and so like their foundations that they've come out with, I feel like, you know, so many people love the original Bare Minerals loose powder foundation. When I worked at Ulta, that was like our best selling foundation, and then they came out with like a serum foundation, but that was more for like, I would say more for like mature skin types, and then they came out with this foundation, and like honestly even when I saw it I was just kind of like pass. Like I've known what Bare Minerals has come out with as far as complexion products, and it's just not for me, and I just kind of skipped over it. But then one of my best friends, Amy, messaged me and was like, have you tried this new Bare Minerals foundation? And I was like, no. And then a couple of you guys told me about it, so I decided to finally pick it up. If you guys don't follow me on Snapchat, I unfortunately had a bad reaction to the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. Cry. It gave me like dry, irritated, patchy skin on my eyelids. It was like kind of eczema-y, and so I decided to return it, and I just exchanged it and got this instead. And this foundation is like my new holy grail. It is absolutely amazing. So let me pull up the Bare Minerals website real quick. Okay, so on the Bare Minerals website, this goes for $34, which really isn't that bad when it comes to, you know, high-end makeup. It says it's a 24-hour full coverage foundation. So it says a good for skin 24-hour breathable full coverage liquid foundation with a natural matte finish. If we go to read more, it says for the texture it's a creamy liquid, full coverage, naturally matte, 30 different shades, which is awesome. It says around the clock. Yikes, that got rated R real quick. Around the clock coverage. That was bad. It says we're redefining performance wear with this new liquid mineral foundation that cares while it covers, improving appearance of skin texture over time while blurring pores and imperfections. 24-hour breathable coverage is powered by mineral lock long wear technology. Blah 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 blah. Good for skin ingredients. Contains bamboo stem extract for a naturally matte, soft focus finish, while papaya enzymes gently improve skin's texture both immediately and over time. I haven't really been paying attention to my skin's texture, to be honest, so I can't really say anything to that. It says that it works and plays hard as you do. It has SPF 20. It's supposed to prevent premature aging. So I've been wearing this foundation nonstop for the past 2 weeks. I will have a like clip of me applying my foundation, and I didn't apply any highlight today just because I feel like highlight can sometimes help blur like stuff. I wanted you to see how this foundation looks, and like granted this is a matte foundation. When you first apply it, it's very liquidy and it's very pigmented. This reminds me a lot of actually the NARS All Day Luminous foundation. Is that the foundation that I have? yeah, the NARS All Day Luminous Foundation. This reminds me a lot of that in that it's very watery but very, very pigment packed, which I love. I do not, hang on, I should have said this at the beginning. For those of you watching, I have an oily skin type. It's kind of combo, but it's more just oily. I prefer a medium to full coverage, and I like really lightweight feeling foundations. I really don't like foundations like Amazonian Clay by Tarte, Kat Von D Lock-It Tattoo Foundation, the Becca Evermatte Poreless Foundation. Any of those like thicker foundations I really don't like because I feel like they sit on top of my skin. This foundation is like the epitome of what I love in a foundation. It's very thin but creamy and has a lot of pigment to it, so it feels like you're wearing, like, I don't feel like I'm wearing a full face of foundation right now, but it is like full on full coverage. And like, granted, I do have like concealer on and all that, but you'll see this without the concealer as well. I feel like I'm just rambling, but that's kind of how my reviews go. I just kind of ramble. But I've worn this on multiple times, from like work days to like going out after work. So I've been wearing, like, there's been a few times where I've worn this foundation for 12 hours, like 10 to 12 hours a few different times. And I will say that like by the end of the day I'm still a little bit oily, but it's nothing that like I'm mad about. Some foundations, you guys have heard me talk about this multiple times on my channel, some foundations when you start to get oily, it feels like it like mixes with your skin and creates this like oily paste on your skin, and it just feels like disgusting on your skin. Like once I get to that point where like my oils have combined with foundation and like it just feels pasty, I like want it off immediately. And this foundation doesn't do that. It really, like, it gets oily and it gets shiny, but it's nothing that's unmanageable, and it's nothing that makes me feel gross. You know what I mean? The other thing I want to say is this is the most flawless color match I have ever found in a foundation ever. This is like fair, like very, very light, but has a beautiful olive yellow undertone that like matches my neck and like my skin perfectly. If you ever are like, I wonder what Kittysnack's like foundation shade is, go into your local Sephora and Ulta and swatch this, and this like literally is the color of my skin. It matches so well. Like I said, it has 30 different shades. This is the third from the lightest. That means there's 2 additional shades that are lighter than this one, which I think is awesome because, you know, super inclusion. And it goes down to very, very deep shades as well. I obviously can't speak to like if it fits every skin tone on the deeper end of the spectrum because I obviously do not have deep skin tones, but they do at least have 30 different shades, so I feel like there's something for everybody, you know what I mean? Also, another note, when I purchased this foundation, the girl that worked at Ulta was like, did you color match yourself because this oxidized really, really badly on me? And I was like, yeah, I color matched and it matched perfectly fine. So it oxidized on her very badly, but it did not oxidize on me. So if you're thinking about picking up this foundation, what I would recommend is go take a little half pump, swatch it down your arm or something, swatch it on your neck, something like that, walk around the store for 10-15 minutes and see if it oxidizes on your skin tone. Because I know my friend Amy that told me about this said it oxidized on her skin tone as well, but it doesn't oxidize on me at all. So that's just one thing that you want to be cautious of when you're shopping, is to make sure to swatch it somewhere on your body, see how your body reacts to it, and see if it oxidizes on you, so that way you can choose your right color. But now I want to get in and show you the demo of me applying the foundation, just because I feel like I can speak a little bit more to it once you guys have seen it working on my skin. So let's hop over to the demo of me applying the foundation. Let's apply the foundation. So I have my Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge that I use all the time with all of my favorite foundations, and the foundation. So what I usually do, I've been taking 2 pumps, and 2 pumps seems to do it for me. And this is the consistency. It's really runny. So I just like taking a little bit on my sponge, and let me zoom in. And then I just stamp it on my skin. Ignore if you can hear David playing video games in the background. So here's just kind of 2 layers because I've been kind of going back and forth, which I think 2 layers layered up looks really, really nice. You can see that like most of my redness is gone. It's solid like medium coverage, but you can build this up. So I'm going to just keep applying and show y'all how I layer it up because I really do. It's such a thin pigmented foundation that it just layers so nicely for a full coverage. Alright, since I already kind of layered up this half side of my face, I'm just going to take another half a pump just to layer up the other side of my face. The only thing is with this foundation, as you can see, it left little stamp prints. You really just want to make sure you're blending super well because since this is so pigmented, it can leave like little marks on your skin if you don't take the time to blend it. Oh, I'm so not used to trying to put on foundation around my eyebrows. So at this point, I would call this like good enough coverage for me once I put on like under eye concealer. But as you can see, there's still like that little scar is poking through and there's still like a tiny bit of redness on my cheeks, but I think it looks beautiful. But yeah, the color match is flawless and that's how the foundation applies. I love it. So anyways, this is how the foundation applies and that's it. As you guys saw in the demo, this is a very pigment packed foundation. Like when you stamp it on, you can see the pigment directly like going on your face, but it blends out really, really well. I do prefer applying this with a makeup sponge. I just think it goes on a little bit better and I think it goes on a little bit smoother. I tried it with my Makeup Geek foundation stippling brush, which I like this brush for a little bit thinner in consistency foundations like this one because it's not the most dense, but it's still like a good dense foundation brush, but I do prefer a sponge with it as well. But I do prefer a sponge to apply it. So as you can see, as I was applying it, it builds up really nicely. Some imperfections still peek through, but I'm the type of person where I would prefer a like medium to full coverage foundation as opposed to just like a straight up full coverage foundation because sometimes those foundations that literally cover everything like a mask can feel like a mask, and that's, at least in my experience, what has happened. So I would prefer a medium coverage foundation that I can put concealer on and like layer it up and make it comfortable but still full coverage as opposed to a less comfortable fuller coverage foundation right off the bat, if that makes sense. So as you can see, it like blends really well. The color is amazing. I can't get over how nice the color is. And by the way, I'm in the color Champagne 03. Like I said, I'm the third from the lightest shade. And overall, I just really, really like how it looks on my skin. It does blur pores. It does help texture. The ColourPop No Filter Concealer also really blurs pores, but this foundation just looks beautiful. One thing that I also want to say is on my channel I have been talking about using something like the Urban Decay Velvetizer powder underneath my foundation to help oil control, and I will say I did try that trick with this foundation and it did not play very well. I just think that since this is such a kind of liquidy but thin foundation, when I applied it on top of the powder, it seemed like the powder just like absorbed all the moisture from the foundation and it didn't blend as well, and it also looked a little bit cakey once I started to get oily. So it actually, this foundation looked better by itself than it did putting a powder underneath your foundation. So if you are the type of person that likes doing that trick, if you try this foundation, I would maybe not, or just maybe try it one day and see how you like it. But personally, I think this foundation performs amazingly by itself, and adding that powder detracts from how amazing it performs. If I could compare this, because I did recently talk about the Smashbox Studio Skin Foundation, which has been one of my go-to foundations, and I feel bad because ever since I bought this foundation, I pretty much haven't been using this foundation. If I could compare the two, I would say that this one is thinner in consistency and more packed with pigment. So it's thinner, but it has more coverage, and I would say that this one like sits on my oily skin a little bit better than this one. This one is more towards the kind of naked skin realm where it's kind of a little bit more natural, but it still has a really good coverage. Like, I still love this foundation, don't get me wrong, but this one I've just kind of been obsessing with, and this color is a little bit off for me, and this color, it matches me so well. I would also say that this is really similar to the Sonia Kashuk Soft Focus Satin Matte Foundation. I haven't worn this in a really long time, so I can't necessarily really compare them for you, but I will say they are really, really similar in texture and how like these are both very pigment packed. This one has kind of a nasty smell that this one doesn't have. This one has like a very, very, very slight foundation kind of makeup smell, but like I have to like stick my nose in the pump to smell it, and nobody's doing that, I don't think. Alright, whenever I do these reviews, I always feel like I'm missing something, but just to go over all the points really quick, it is a medium buildable coverage, thin consistency, very pigment packed, 30 different shades. It has SPF 20, but I didn't necessarily think that it flashed back that bad, but this may be a foundation that you want to wear in the daytime and not necessarily at night, or not necessarily an event, like to an event where you're going to be photographed a lot. It lasts really, really well on the skin, like 8 to 12 hours, no problem. You might need to touch up, but like I've mentioned on my channel, I love my e.l.f. Beautifully Bare finishing powder to touch up, and I have like hardly been. Sometimes I'll touch up right along my jawline because I do get pretty oily through here. It touches up beautifully. It is $36, and let's see, you get 1 fluid ounce, which is totally standard. The packaging is really nice, just plain and pretty chic. I like it. Has a pump. I'm in the shade 03, and a beautiful fair foundation with those yellow olive undertones. Alright, so I think I've hit on everything. If you guys have any other questions about the foundation, leave it down below. If you all have tried this foundation, let me know what you think about it. But this is honestly, in my opinion, one of the most underrated new foundations to come out. I'm really upset that more people aren't talking about this. I literally want to comment on every single big YouTuber's video and be like, freaking try this foundation. It is so good. Don't sleep on it. So I'm saying that to you. Don't sleep on this foundation. I think it is amazing. Go to your local Sephora, get a sample, try it out. I think you will really, really like it. And that is it for my little foundation review on the Bare Minerals BarePro foundation. So again, if y'all have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you all want to see more like standalone reviews like this, let me know, because I don't do them often on my channel, but if you all want me to do them more, I will totally do that. So anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!